ready. Let's do it.
Excellent. Here it comes. Oh, okay. I did. All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
How do they do it? Where do they find all that energy? That seemingly inexhaustible store of pep and ginger?
What about my burning desire to study and learn a vocation?
Mere good. This is the morning stream.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the morning stream, TMS, for Thursday, June 3rd, 2021. I'm Scott Johnson with Brian Ibbett. Hi.
Hello, happy Friday Eve.
Yeah, baby.
As they say.
I got a pot full of leftover jambalaya in the fridge, and all is well at the Johnson house.
Nice. That's a good, that's always a good staple, right? It's like 2 or 3 days of really good leftover consumption.
Oh, there's nothing like it. It's the best. But you got to do it in those 2 or 3 days, or else, you're asking for trouble.
Right. That's right. Exactly.
Speaking of which, so while we were having some of that, some friends came by. It's nice to have some vaccinated friends again, people who are just... You can see them. You can hang out. You're in the same club now. You're in the vaccine club, and you can just sort of hang out.
The Vax Club, yes.
That's right. And Josh Fitzgerald, a good pal of ours, who when we first met him, he was already a fan of like the shows, and so that was all funny. But anyway, he's a pharmacist guy, and he used to be like Dan and did like pharmacy things, but then the big medical marijuana business came to Utah, and he took a job where he is now purely a weed dealer, not a dealer, but you know what I mean? Like, he's the guy who, like, the doctors call and say, I have patients who have this and this and this. We need to do prescriptions for HTC, this and that and the other. And now he's the one who gives you your weed. He gives you your weed.
Oh, really?
He's your weed guy now. And it was just a fascinating conversation about all the stuff they got going on. They got this crazy HTC... Not HTC.
THC.
The Vibe. The people that make the Vibe. Your favorite VR helmet.
I love that thing. Yeah. Exactly.
They used to do a lot of phones, but now it's all about the Vibe. THC. He's got some kind of vapor rub that's like menthol plus THC and some other stuff that you put on like a muscle that's hurt or a broken whatever, and it's supposed to be just like
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, or if you're like somebody who gets like you're a cancer, you're going through the chemo, right?
Right. This is relieving, soothing kind of thing.
Right. And I don't know, I mean, Tina could probably speak to this, but like my sister-in-law just finished 12 rounds and her hands hurt all the time. Just like screaming nerve pain in her fingers and hands. And that stuff, the weed rub, I guess, just knocks it out. Just
interesting.
Gone.
I mean, because we know, that they've got the stuff that's just the regular CBD stuff. But I think Nicole talked about how she got stuff that had THC in it years ago for her arm or her shoulder or whatever it was. And, she felt loopy.
Oh yeah. It'll be weird. But he's got all this like cool samples at his house, but he's the nicest, most like, how do I explain Josh? He's like the most unassuming, just like, oh, hey everybody. How's it going? Eh? Like he's not Canadian, but
He's Rick Moranis.
Yeah, he's definitely not Canadian, but he's got this very kind of unassuming quality about him. And then you find out what he's doing, and he's like leading the state in this stuff to the point that they ask him to be on panels and on commissions, and he gets interviewed all the time. He did some 30-episode YouTube thing about medical marijuana and the benefits to different things and all this. And I'm just saying, Dan needs to up his game, get out of the regular old pill market. Get into the weed, man.
Yeah, so I wonder in North Carolina, I mean, medical has got to be legal in North Carolina, right?
I have no idea.
I don't think recreational is yet, but...
yeah. They'll be slow on the recreational just like we are. Utah and the Carolinas will be like the last on the list probably, but...
Right. No, it's a booming market out here, just judging by the number of places that open up and do this. But because it's still not federally legal, you can't just take your weed money that you've made to the bank.
Right.
You've You basically have to do like illegal means to deposit the money that you've legally earned by selling your legal weed.
Yeah, it's weird, right? All that stuff is still so weird right now.
We know somebody, and I'm totally not going to go any further than just saying that it's somebody we know has taken to burying their money in an undisclosed location because they don't want to have it in their house, but they can't take it to a bank.
This wouldn't be a neighbor who might be crazy, would it?
No, he's not a he's not a salesman.
But is it someone you and I both know who buries they're burying their money? Is it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know. Do we?
I don't know.
We both?
Do we not know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not saying I know.
It's somebody that, it's that's as far as I'm going to go.
That's all you're going to let loose. Okay, it's fine.
Well, yeah, because I don't want somebody to say, "Oh, it's so and so great. I'm heading to their backyard to go dig up all their money."
That's right. Tom Merritt. Just kidding, not Tom Merritt. You never. Hey, a quick camera check. How's your garbage can? Just got to check.
Well, it's funny. So I texted Crazy Neighbor and said, "Here's a page from this recycling company that's not Denver, but another recycling company that says." That they won't take hose reels. It's really funny, like that they go that far. But this document's awesome. Like it says,
that's great.
Vienna, Wisconsin. Here are things not allowed in recycling bins, and one of the things is hose reels. And so I texted her and said, I'm not sure they're going to take it. And then she says, "Oh, sorry, Tina told me I could. I'll come and get it." So I watched Crazy Neighbor come around, pick up her hose reel out of our bin, take it to maybe their trash can, I can't tell, and then come back and put a bunch of boxes in ours.
Oh, so she did the thing you were saying.
She did the thing I was saying. Okay. She didn't put the hose reel in her recycling bin.
Right.
But as she was doing that, Tina came home because Tina had an early interview this morning.
Yeah.
And I could see them out there chatting, and I'm sure I'm like, Crazy Neighbor's probably saying, "Well, your husband said to take it out of there." I say it as nicely as possible, but of course it's probably going to get real or reconfigured to be like, "Well, Brian yelled at me for putting this in your recycling bin."
Yeah, that's awesome. I kind of wish that we would have seen. I don't know. I just kind of want to see what was going to happen there if they would have.
Yeah.
Did the Crazy Neighbor? Did she do her yacht rock dance as you left? I don't know why that video stuck with me. It is permanently burned into my head. It's something about the music and her moving, and I don't know what it is.
It is the best. It is the best little short little meme. God, what was that? Vine or wasn't Periscope? What did I share that thing on? It was like 6 seconds long, so it easily could have been Vine.
It was probably Vine. Yeah, back in the day. We all poked around with Vine.
Have you tried Twitter Spaces yet?
I did one day, and I decided that was enough. That was good.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, this is why I don't like that other service, Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Forget it.
I guess it's cool, once in a while, just have a little, hey, a bunch of tadpooly types jumped in and we talked and it was fine. But it's
that'd
not
be cool.
It's not just like there's just no. I don't know. There's another. We do this every day. We get this is here. We are doing it right now. You and I are doing it in some traditional way.
Right.
So what is Twitter Spaces? Says Maravina. Yeah, a lot of people ask that. Also, what are Twitter?
People will be asking that in 5 months.
Yeah. What is Twitter? What's the top thing? The stories. Their ripoff of stories called Twitter fleets. Fleets.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, when's the last time you checked a fleet?
A fleet.
It's been a while. I've yet to record one and yet to. Well, no, I visited a couple, but then I forgot it was there, and I don't use the app anymore. So. Screw you guys. I'm back to Twitterific. It's like 2008 all up in here. All right. Hey, a couple quick things. Bam, there's so much today. We got a bunch of stuff here at the top. We got Bobby coming up here in a minute. We got an email to read to him. Wendy later. Bunch of stuff. And then all of it has some great multimedia possibilities. Okay, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
So, for example, Joel wrote in and sent me a recording of him talking to his Amazon Echo. I'm not going to say the A word, and I also bleeped it out in his recording.
Okay, all right.
So that it doesn't set off anything for anyone, including me. Here's... I didn't thought about this. Okay, you know how we come up with really dumb names? Well, we don't, but our tadpole comes with a bunch of great names to choose from for the show.
For the show title, yeah.
Right,
uh-huh.
And then we just put them in there, and we don't really think too much about it, but we're basically forcing this, very... efficient voiceover assistant lady who's on your Echo to say these terrible titles once in a while when you play or resume one of our episodes.
Sure.
So he sent this audio in and just wanted me to hear it. So let's play it for the show. Here you go. You hear a little beep at the top. That's just the A word.
Okay.
Continue.
Resuming the morning stream from Amazon Music. TMS 2123. Basement Baby Glob Unit.
It was a gross night, is what I'm saying.
Basement Baby Glob Unit.
Oh my God, I want some of these for like, what have we had? Pumping Bee Juice.
Yeah.
Looking back at some past titles.
Yeah, there's some killer stuff in here. Let me pull
Don't
up.
woo in my car. 2 Oregon fish sandwich.
Right. Mitt Zuber. I want to hear that. I want to hear Pizza Man
Buying
go.
fake pee? You're
Yeah.
in trouble.
Rotten Meat Curious. That would be fun. Who is Dick Price? That's a fun one. Yeah. So,
I love it.
yeah.
I love it.
Anyway.
I want to hear more of these. This
Isn't
is
that
great.
awesome? I love that.
Thanks,
so
Joel.
thank you for that. Also, I didn't know Amazon Music did. I submitted the podcast to Amazon, but I didn't know what that was for. I guess now I know.
Yeah.
I get it now. You can just play it through Amazon Music, which is kind of cool. And if you didn't know that, do it. Google Home also does it.
Pause it and resume it.
Yeah, you can listen to our stuff on whatever you want. Quick product review. Hold on.
Okay.
$30. Oh,
Uh-huh.
I gotta pull this over here. We are looking for a good outdoor. Mine is currently charging. Good outdoor Bluetooth speakery unit.
Oh, sure.
They're all a little expensive, and I checked wirecutter.com because those guys never lead me astray. And I thought, well, what's in their budget selection? And they were raving about this thing called the Tribit. Tribit X Sound
Sure,
Go.
it's not called pronounced Tribit.
It might be Tribit.
Oh, I'm kidding. It's probably the Tribit.
You might be
maybe,
right.
Maybe it is the Tribit.
It might
sure.
be the Tribit. Now that you say it, that's a better marketable name. Tribit.
It is. Yeah.
It's heavy and rubbery, which I like because that means any kind of bass in there is sort of contained and not rattly. It stays on the table and it's, whatever. I've been blown away by this little thing. It's tiny. Take it anywhere. 25 hours of battery life.
Nice.
And it plays beautifully. And it just connects to anything. And it's, I realize it's 2021. Yeah, Bluetooth works. I get it. But
yeah,
it's
right.
really rad to the point that, and it was so inexpensive. These are only $30. I was like, I'm buying one for, Kim to take outside for whatever we want to do on the porch or whatever. But I'm going to get one of these for just down here. To just switch over from I don't want to wear headphones and play my PC games. I'm just going to transfer to this because this sounds better than the speakers I have. So
that's crazy. That's crazy.
Anyway,
yeah, we picked up. It was on sale. I think $45. The Wonder Boom, which is more of a squat cylinder.
Yeah.
But it can go. If we're in the neighbor's pool, we can bring it over and it just floats in the water and plays music and.
Sounds good.
Sounds amazing.
Does it? Yeah. I don't know. These things have come so far. I remember when they were so tinny.
They
and
really
garbagey.
have. Yeah.
So there you go. Take your music on the road, everybody. It's summer.
Yep.
It's white hot red TMS summer. Get out there.
And look at you not getting something that's made by Aki or Anchor.
Right? Who the hell knows who Tribit is? I've never even heard of these
That's true.
guys.
Yeah.
But it seems good. And for $30, I don't know. I trust Wirecutter. They never tell me the wrong thing.
Yeah.
All right. Now this, a question that's very important. This is
good. This is a very good question. Yeah.
I agree. Let's let the lady who I heard on TikTok ask it. Okay. So here's her actual question.
How are we breathing in cars? Because there's no air holes in a car, and you shut your doors. So how does the oxygen get in? And there's no law to open your window every 5 minutes. So how do you breathe in a car?
All right. I feel like it's important we answer this question here on the show.
Really?
This reminded me about dogs and their brains, and I just
it is almost her. It is almost the dog's brains. Was this on TikTok, by the way?
It was a TikTok video. It was sent actually by a listener, and then I also happened to get it in my feed just naturally. So we must be on the same wavelength, me and this guy. It was in my for you page, but yeah. Chad Stoic Squirrel says, I wish her car had no air. I would say this to this lady if she's listening. I'm sure she isn't. And she was probably, 18 or something. Mm-hmm. Cars are not hermetically vacuum sealed
right.
areas. Yeah. It's not an airlock, right? You don't go in there and everything gets sucked out. Nor does anything. Like you could say this.
I don't know, Scott. I've seen those movies where the good guy accidentally gets pushed into, like their car forced into a lake,
right?
And their car just stays completely devoid of water until they roll down a window and climb out, or bust a window open, or
it's perfectly sealed, 100% waterproof, so therefore
exactly.
airproof. But you could say this about your house. Your bathroom, any closed space.
Right.
So why her brain didn't just go from, well, let me think of this space, now another space. Oh, right. These are similar in that they all have air because they're not sealed spaces.
Yeah.
So that's the answer. I'm just saying, if anyone's helped by this, mostly I just wanted to mock that person. All right, if I'm honest.
Of course.
Yeah. What else are we hearing?
Now, if we were to take her car and put her inside it and then completely wrap it in plastic tarp with duct tape and cover all the sides and every possible opening, then she'd have a good question.
Yeah.
She'd have a good point.
Yeah, then she'd make a point, and we could have a discussion about that and mourn her loss. We could do all those things at once.
That's right. Exactly.
All right, you guys, here's something I like.
I think science is cool.
That science is cool. And I also think it's cool that Bobby comes on the show and talks to us about science. Man, Bobby, your hair is longer every time I see you, dude. Look at that. Man.
Bobby, should we get a law to open our car windows every 5 minutes or so? Should there be a law?
Did you know that they actually put a device into cars to make it? You used to not be able to breathe in them, and then they added the air conditioner.
Oh, is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense.
It takes air from the outside and brings it inside so that you don't suffocate before you get to your destination.
I do
Where
like
does
that.
my fart go in a car? How come I?
Yeah, how does your fart escape?
They're still working on that.
Yeah.
That's a known problem.
I don't know why she also brought up that part about there's no law telling you to
That's why I brought that up. It's like, what a weird direction to go. Like, there should be a law that you open your windows every 5 minutes, because that's what'll keep everybody alive.
Yeah.
Well, we live in a nation of states, and so they have to go through each state's legislative branch. It's a complicated process.
Yeah. I don't know why we say united, but there are days where you wonder. Yeah. All right, we should just call ourselves states. No, what would we be? States.
A lot of people do call us the states.
The states. Yeah. That's good. That'll work. The states. Yeah, that's fine. Bobby's here. We're going to do some science. I'm going to kick it off with an email. Bobby, if you're all right with this, I'm just going to read this.
Yeah, we got an email, huh?
Yeah, we did, and it leads right into your discussion topic this week. This came from Lois, Taffy lady. Lois. She says, hello, Frank and Bobby. Says this. I'm one of those folks who is medically exempt from getting the vaccine. I had one dose and had a lovely allergic reaction and had to be told by medical staff, no more for me. And the J&J is just not an option for me either. That makes sense. If they try the one, they're not going to give you the other. So I have natural COVID antibodies. Having COVID sucks, by the way. And one dose of Pfizer vaccine. My concern is, what will my future look like when there might be guidelines/restrictions for those who are fully vaccinated, i.e., you can only go on a cruise if you're fully vaccinated, or someone can come into your country if you're only fully vaccinated. I know things are constantly evolving and changing. What would you do in my position other than keep wearing masks and social distancing? Thanks, says Lois.
That's a very good question.
Yeah, it really is. So, Bobby, what would you say to her? Because she is in a unique category there.
Yeah, well, first of all, I would like to express my sympathy. That's really stinks that you can't finish the whole process. And you're not alone. There are people that this happens to, and that's why she was probably told pretty quick, like, okay, this is how we handle that. Let's not finish to be safe.
Right.
But the short answer to our question about what to do and what is it going to mean for future regulations and all that kind of stuff is, unfortunately, we don't know exactly because we're still in this process, but we do know some things, and we know how this kind of thing is handled for other vaccines, so we can maybe use that as a way to figure out what's going to happen in this specific case that she's dealing with. So, first of all, there's likely to be exceptions and exemptions to the requirements for COVID vaccination.
Yeah.
Because there are people that are in Lois's position, and you can't just say that they're not allowed to do anything forever now.
Right.
So we come up with exemptions, and these exemptions are based on the fact that as long as we can reach herd immunity through vaccination, then she's going to be protected anyway.
Yeah, isn't that the idea here? Is that if everyone who can do it does it, the whole point of that isn't just that we're now okay.
Yeah. Right.
Is that those
Lois
who can't
is
are more
exactly
protected.
the reason why we are pushing so hard to get to herd immunity, is because there are people in the world who cannot get the vaccine, and they would love to, but they can't.
Right. Right.
And so we have to help them.
What do you think?
It's funny because
oh yeah, go ahead, Brian.
It's a situation now where when you can get the vaccine, you're less reliant on the people who aren't getting the vaccine, because you can say, well, I've had the vaccine, I'm okay. You're not getting it because of your beliefs or your worry about microchip or whatever, but for the most part, I'm okay because I've got my vaccine. But when you can't get the vaccine and you want it, you're much more reliant on those people who aren't getting it for whatever reason.
I was already mad at those people, but now I'm mad at those
I'm even more mad at those people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question that TVZ Gun asked. He says he didn't catch the entire email, but in terms of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, isn't it an entirely different kind of vaccine? Like, it's not the mRNA whatever stuff. It's like a, it's more traditional. It's a piece of the virus. It's a, kind of the old flu way of doing it. Because she's allergic to the one, why would that be a concern, do you think?
That's probably just the physician being cautious, just acting out of an abundance of caution, because they probably don't know whatever reaction she had, why she had the reaction. We can maybe guess. Most of the allergic reactions that are happening to the mRNA vaccine are due to polyethylene glycol, which is a stabilizer that's in it that is in a lot of things. It's not unusual that it's in that. In fact, it's polyethylene glycol is used in a lot of laxatives. If you take some of it, it'll make you go poo-poo.
Jamie, will you mark that one, please? I love that one. That was a good one for a clip. Yeah, I was going to say, that's what this Miralax business is that my wife had.
Exactly. It is. Miralax that's just what it is polyethylene glycol.
Yeah, tons of it.
But it's also used as a stabilizing agent in vaccines. And so that was a known thing. And only a couple of people have had reactions to that and allergies to that. So her reaction to this could be maybe not even an allergy. It could be something else, but it's hard to test that and know. So what physicians will do whenever people have a reaction is just say, okay, well, you had a bad reaction to this, so we're just don't take any more and don't take another one since we don't know. Yeah. One dose though, especially the Pfizer vaccine, already gives her around 85% effectiveness at preventing COVID. So that's really good.
Which is good.
Even though she had the reaction, she still would have the antibodies from the vaccine, and so she's very well protected against COVID. Now, obviously, you still want to get the second dose and go through the whole thing if you can, but in her specific case, I want her to not worry too much about getting COVID. That's probably not your main concern. Your main concern is going to be
having the card,
participate in society now.
Right, exactly. Getting to go on cruises or travel and being able to say, yeah, here's my proof that I've had it. There have to be more people who have this same allergy. So, and maybe you don't know the answer to this, but is there work being done on other versions of the vaccine that maybe get delivered in a way that doesn't interfere with people's allergies?
Yeah, or doesn't have the Miralax in it or whatever.
I think so. There are dozens of we hear about like 5 main vaccines right now, but there are dozens being worked on all over the world. Right. So it's likely that we'll see some come out later that maybe people would be able to get who do have these allergies. But I still think even if you don't, it's likely you will get to do stuff. There will be exemptions in place. I mean, public schools have exemptions for people who can't get vaccines, for example. You usually have to have some sort of medical documentation that you can't get the vaccine. So you would want to make sure that you have like a note from your doctor saying that you can't get it.
Just put it on the same card as the first vaccine, and that way you've got, well, I got the first one and here's why I didn't get the second. At least you've got
some sort of proof. I don't know if it would go on the card. Who knows what those cards are even going to be used for?
I know,
They're giving us
right?
these cards.
It's so
right
dumb.
that are the wrong size. You can't put them in a wallet.
Not only that, like you can fake these. They're selling them everywhere. It's just stupid. Like if we're gonna if they're gonna go that hard, they gotta go as hard as they do on money, where they change it all the time and put chips in it and make it only scannable and by a certain kind of camera and like all the dumb things you have to do.
Bitcoin.
They're not gonna do it. Yeah, track it with the blockchain. Great idea. Yeah.
Have you seen people doing the selfies with the cards and they like put a finger over some part of the information? But like I look at mine, I don't know what information you're trying to hide, really.
Right. Yeah.
Someone's name, I guess.
Mine just shows which King Supers I had my doses administered, and then my full name. It's like, oh yeah, whatever. You're welcome to it.
Well,
and my birthday's on it. Like, okay, I want you to know my birthday.
Yeah, celebrate.
Right,
it's not
sure.
like that's not really terrible information to have, unless there's some reason we don't want to know you were born that day. But yeah, like it's a weird. I don't know. These are great questions because we haven't really had to address these before. Certainly in a modern society.
It's a really good question, and CDC's confusing communication about this doesn't make it any easier to process all this stuff.
Right.
And to know what's going to happen and everything. It's
part of me feels
it's hard.
I feel for them a little because I don't know I don't think they know entirely, and why would they exactly know? Because some of this is not, because now you're talking about mixing pathology with sociology with like just regular old logistics of how people move around and live their lives. Like that's a complicated web when you're talking about a country of 300 and whatever million people, and then broaden that out and talk about there are multiple nations and then a worldwide effort, and that needs to be coordinated, and like it's just complicated. But I would, if I were her, and I mean, she has a couple things going for her. She's had COVID, which sucks, but she had it. So that I don't know if it stacks, right? You'd have to tell me. Like, is this a World of Warcraft buff where she got COVID, then she got a first shot, and somehow that combination is going to help her in some way, or
there's a 10-month cooldown though that.
Yeah, I don't know if the buffs stack in this case. Actually, I know that I think the vaccine might just override it. It's vaccines have a lot to do with just antibodies and having them, and I think the vaccine is designed to do a better job than natural infection anyway.
Yeah.
So I think it just kind of overrides that in that.
Okay, so you probably can't stack them. It's like replaces the buff, and it's a slightly better buff. It'd be better.
It's also dangerous to kind of imply that stacking them would be good, right? Because you don't want people to think like, well, I should go get COVID and then get the
that's
vaccine.
A good point. Nobody do that, please. That's a bad idea. And we still don't even know about boosters for everyone else. Like,
and we won't know that for a while.
Yeah, that's going to be a bit. I was reading yesterday, given the the amazing weather the country's having, and everybody, more vaccinations happening, and then get more restlessness on the parts of those who don't want to get vaccinated but still don't care and want to go out and hit the lake or whatever. 2 weeks from now, we're going to learn a lot about where we're at
when everybody's getting together for 4th of July. We're also going to come by the fall when everybody goes back indoors. When normally flu season would roll around and everybody is going back inside, fall and winter, by then we should know because if COVID starts popping up again, then that's going to tell us what we need to know about boosters and whether this is an endemic virus. Endemic meaning that it's going to keep coming back year after year.
I'd love that.
Did you guys see the Biden's address to the nation yesterday about COVID?
No, I missed it.
I saw the greatest hits.
I may have
the greatest.
I may have. I mean, I took melatonin, but I probably should have watched that because that would have really put me down. But anyway,
it was between the two. Yeah.
Yeah. Why? What did we miss? What came of it?
It was actually pretty good. He seems to be. He's talking about. He's doing this push. The government's doing this push now. They want to get 70% of adults vaccinated by the 4th of July. So this whole month they're really pushing for people. Right now we're at about 62% of adults. And 8% doesn't seem like a lot, but it really is at this point because we're really pushing against that hesitancy wall.
Yeah. That's kind of a push us over the line kind of number, right? Like
it's pretty close. We still don't know what herd immunity means. Like where that number is, but we're thinking it's around 70-80%, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe as low as 65%, but we don't know. So 70% is just like looking a lot better.
Yeah.
If we get there, but it felt a lot like also that that the message from this whole initiative to get everybody was in response to those confusing CDC guidelines. So if people are listening and they don't know what I'm talking about, CDC back in May said they changed the guidelines, basically saying if you're fully vaccinated, burn your mask and go hog wild.
Yeah.
But that's at least the way that people interpreted it, and that was the problem, right? But people are confused by the sudden reversal of the CDC's guidelines and their change in telling vaccinated people that they're okay to not quarantine anymore and they can travel and they don't have to wear masks.
It tends to lend more. It gives more fuel to the it's a hoax. Look at that. Look how quickly the CDC changes, which drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not what it means.
It's also, have you ever been to the DMV? We're just inefficient around here. We just don't know what we're doing.
That's right. Well, it's a brand new thing. We don't know everything about it. Jeez.
Yeah.
My worry is that the change in guidelines, even though they are based in science, and it's true, if you're fully vaccinated, you're pretty safe. You don't need to wear a mask anymore. Still follow whatever the business and local guidelines and everything are, of course, but those are for respect and legal reasons. But what worries me is that it's going to give unvaccinated people like cover to stop wearing masks when they didn't want to begin with.
Oh, I guarantee that's happening. I've
seen it's already.
Yeah,
they're already doing it.
Already a thing, I'm afraid. Well, all right. That's an interesting look at where we're at. I know. Part of me is like, well, after this year and a half or so, we're all so sick of COVID and whatever. But it does feel like we're getting to that point that we are all aiming for. Like there's some goals. There were goals, and now they're in sight. Maybe. And that'd be awesome. There's a lot of stuff we don't know. Like you said, a yearly bounce back is still a question. We don't know about boosters. We don't know about what variations or whatever. I don't even want to think about that dude that got bird flu the other day. Let's just not think about him for now because there's a brand new bird strain. I don't want to know about it. Just stay in China there. Just somebody lock him in. Be done. Stay over there.
And what happened to the murder hornets?
Yeah, where the
just forget about the murder hornets?
Exactly.
Somebody think about the murder hornets.
Oh my gosh.
Don't you consider the murder hornets?
There was so much talk of murder hornets, and now nothing. What are they hiding? All right. Well, this is great.
If you haven't gotten your vaccine and you are waiting there are plenty of good reasons that people were waiting, reasons that make sense. Just, you can get it. This new initiative is basically saying they're going to give a tax break to, this goes into the political end of things, and I don't know a lot about it, but they're going to give tax breaks to businesses that give paid time off for people to get a vaccine and for any side effects that they have afterwards. So that's good. There are a bunch of like daycare centers that are going to be watching kids for free while parents get vaccines. Uber and Lyft are giving free rides to and from vaccine centers
to get your vaccines.
Oh, that's cool.
Don't forget Krispy Kreme.
Yeah, Krispy Kreme doing their part.
Or Anheuser-Busch. If you've gotten a vaccine by July 4th, they're offering a free beer.
Nice.
Really?
So,
wow.
Nice.
Beer, donut, and free ride wherever you want. As long as you tell the Lyft driver you're going to get your vaccine.
There's a bunch of stuff locally. Local businesses are doing a bunch of stuff here too. I couldn't tell them to you, but it's similar things. It's like, we'll give you a tire change if you
Oh, that's cool.
Or whatever.
And one of the a poll recently looked at why unvaccinated people are still hesitant to get vaccines, and at least a third of unvaccinated people are saying that it's because they're waiting for it to be fully FDA approved rather than just an emergency use authorization.
Approval, sure.
And regardless of whether or not they should be worried about that, it makes sense that because it's complicated, people don't understand how it works. But know that Pfizer just put in their application for approval, and Moderna should be close behind, and they've got all the safety data and everything, and it's going to be approved. So don't worry about that.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry
just go get it. It's safe.
That. Yeah, I think you're good to get it. The other thing is, we had a listener who said that I'd be dead within a week after getting it, and still here, buddy. Still here.
Yeah, still kicking it.
I know he's
they were
listening.
really just bucking for your job.
I know he's listening. He's listening because he always emails some shitty thing about, I don't know, whatever we're talking about. And I'm like,
I love the fact that they keep listening to. Like,
I know, they love it.
I hate you guys. You're crazy. You're puppets of the leftists. But boy, oh boy, don't take away my subscription.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, don't let me not listen to your show anymore. Anyway, Bobby, fantastic stuff here as always. Now I heard a rumor that Bobby has expanded his reach, his empire, his science coverage empire, to include a new TikTok channel. Now, I will say this. TikTok has quickly become more usable for me than a service like YouTube, in terms of like, hey, I'm interested in watching some dude build a work project, or this guy's making stuff out of wood, or this guy's doing science coverage, or this guy's whatever. There's so many goods. Cooking is another one. Tons of
Or this
great
woman's
cooking
wondering
stuff.
why she doesn't suffocate in her car.
There's that stuff too. But see, YouTube has all that crap too. But this is just like I can go flip and flick past it and get right to Bobby's channel about science. So Bobby, where is it and why should they go? What are you doing?
Yeah,
on there?
so we just started. It's at All Around Sci. So at All Around Sci, SCI, and it's the same as our Twitter handle. But I enjoy just giving quick like explainers about little things, and I'm always with the kids around the house doing stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is a fun little sciencey thing. So TikTok is perfect for like whip out my phone and explain it in under a minute on there, and other people can see it too, and it works really well for visual things. But we did cool things. We made anti-bubbles, we've made plasma in the microwave, and we learn about what causes those things to happen. So yeah, at All Around Sci is where you can see that. Follow or like or whatever you do on TikTok.
And if you
there
want
it
to
is right there. Look at all that hair.
Look
Holy
at
crap.
Bobby's massive hair.
It's like he's one of the brothers Gibb.
Jeez, no kidding. He's a brother Gibb. Wow. All right. Well, keep on staying alive, or whatever the best song to use as a reference is. Bobby, it's always a pleasure. Of course, All Around Science podcast, get that as well.
Yeah.
And be
I just
on the
had Nikki on our last episode. So
cool.
She's a great guest to have on. She's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm your science correspondent. She's the DTNS science correspondent. We're gonna have a science correspondent battle.
Let's do it. I'm fine with that. We should have a contest. I don't know what, but something. What should it be? Who's got the most accurate information? Bobby or Nikki? Comes be there live. I don't know how to do it. We'll figure it out. See you later, Bob. All right. I just called him Bob.
Gotcha.
Is that okay to call him Bob? I don't know.
I've never heard him go by Bob. He might hate that.
It felt weird. It felt weird doing it.
I had a boss whose name was James, and the look he'd shoot customers when they would call him Jim or Jimmy.
Yeah.
And boy, he did not like that.
He just severed the relationship. No more sale. No more deals.
That's right. Exactly. Now he goes by Jolie, though. So.
Oh, that's weird.
Happy Pride Month, everybody.
Oh, right. I forgot. Yeah, you told me about this person before.
Yes.
Update on the murder hornets here.
Bees! Millions of bees!
Oh,
there we go. Just breaking news, everybody.
Oh, man, it's the hornets. It's not the hornet. It was never the hornets. It was the bees.
Bees.
That sting on Carter's foot was just the beginning.
Bobby says Bob is fine.
Oh, okay. Well, who calls you Bob at home? Like, does your mom call you Bob? Do you get Bob's? I don't know.
His secretary calls him Bob. Every time he walks in, she goes, "Hi, Bob."
Hi, Bob.
And then everybody takes a drink. Boy, I am full of the jokes for the olds today. The 60-year-olds who listen to this show are laughing their heads off right now.
Man, you remember Bob Newhart? Well, then you got that joke for sure. He's still alive, He's still kicking, that guy.
Bob Newhart, he totally is, yeah.
I think he's made of paper now, but he's living. He's alive.
How old is he? Let's see here.
Gotta be 90?
91, yeah.
91, yeah.
Still waiting for that Elf sequel.
Yeah, he was great in that. He's also, I loved always hearing stories about him and his wife going on trips with, I can't think of his name all of a sudden. The comedian, he did die. Don
Rickles.
Rickles. Why was I saying Nichols?
Oh, really? I got it.
Yeah, Don Rickles. Those two were like best friends and hung out everywhere, and it was always just the funnest sounding relationship.
I can't imagine how fun it would be to just hang out with Don Rickles in a social.
I agree.
I
agree, dude. I mean, that guy would show up at I don't know, you'd have like really big luminaries, but also like mob crime bosses and stuff in an audience.
Yeah.
And you could just count on Rickles being the
hockey puck.
He was the best insult comic ever because you never felt bad about what he was saying about somebody.
Right.
And he was still brutal that way. And also, if you haven't seen that documentary called something biggest guy, I forgot the name. There's a whole documentary about him when he was like in his 80s, just before he died. That was so good. The hardest working man in comedy or something like that.
Okay.
And he's still like,
imagine if you
80s.
Search for Rickles documentary.
Yeah, you'll find it.
On the
excellent documentary. Really good stuff. Yeah.
Cool.
Really good. All right. Let's get a little bit of news in while we have a moment here. How about this? It's time for the news, brought to you by.
Yeah, so we're celebrating the birthdays of 3 musicians today. Richard Butler, the lead singer of the Psychedelic Furs. Tim Rice-Oxley, who is the main instrumentalist, piano, keyboardist for the band Keane. And Levi Stubbs, who was one of the lead vocalists for the Four Tops, but also was the voice of Audrey 2 in the Little Shop of Horrors movies. Or movie. Just the one movie. Feed me, Seymour. The remake, I should say. Right. So we're going to be celebrating all 3 of them with some great covers that kind of connect all of these bands together. That is going to happen at some point today. I've got a conference call that is taking place right when I normally do Coverville. So it'll take place right after that conference call. So just subscribe to twitch.tv/Coverville. You'll get notified. It's great. Click the little bell icon. It'll tell you when I'm going to be going live and or just follow me on Twitter. All those things.
Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy.
Lemon squeezy.
Yeah, not Japanesey. We learned that.
No, we don't say that.
No, thank you, Army of the Dead, for teaching us that lesson.
For teaching us that. Also, that zombies can have babies.
That's right, because we really wanted to know. All right, check this out. Monkeys. Oh, it's always the monkeys. Freaking monkeys. Not the band, but the little monkeys, the little primates. Wait, are they primates? Yes.
Yes.
Monkeys are primates, or
right? Monkeys and apes, not the same thing, but all of them.
All of them
I
are
believe
primates.
all of them are primates.
Right? Do I know this?
Oh, this is where I get.
Sam says 100%. I believe her.
Okay, good. Yes.
She's smart.
Well, but not to us.
Oh,
she's
it's to another thing.
To Diana. Yes, primates.
Why does it sound wrong? Something sounds wrong about it.
Yes, no. Monkeys and apes are all primates, but monkeys and apes aren't interchangeable.
Right.
Gorillas and baboons and chimpanzees, not all part of the same.
Right.
The same
I guess we're
group.
primates as well.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
well,
the chat's
we are
screaming it.
primates.
Yeah.
Some of us a little bit closer to.
I feel very close to one right now. I feel very close.
I do too.
All right, so we're all apes. Great,
Yes.
That's awesome. Well,
All
check
apes.
this out. This thing about the monkeys. Then the monkeys are always the trouble. They throw the poo at you, and they, whatever. They're bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, they stole a coronavirus blood sample, a whole bunch of them, after attacking a lab assistant and tried to escape.
Oh no!
I know.
Oh my god!
It's horrendous. A gang of monkeys. Is that what they're called when they're a group of them?
I thought a troop. I thought a collective of monkeys was a troop.
Troop of monkeys.
Yeah. Maybe
right.
it depends on the type of monkeys.
Well, and these are angry, pissed, stealing ones, so a gang is
And
probably...
specifically, what kind of monkeys are there? Are they rhesus monkeys?
These are, it said, let's see, where does it say? It doesn't say. It just says monkeys.
It doesn't say. It just says monkeys.
Yeah, it doesn't say. It could be the ones that stop Indiana Jones from eating a date. Or no, the one that, he died because he ate a date. Poison date. Bad dates. Indy. Anyway, a gang of monkeys reportedly attacked a lab worker and ran off with the coronavirus blood samples that were at the lab. The animals are said to have targeted the technician as he walked through the campus of Meerut Medical College in Meerut in Uttar Pradesh state. This is in India. It's happened on Friday. The group they call them now.
A group. That's not.
That's not it either, is it?
A barrel or a troop is the collective of monkeys. So really you can say, watch out, there's a barrel of monkeys coming.
Whoa, really? Is that true?
Yeah. Don't touch his funny bone. No, that's a different thing. Pretty sneaky, sis. No, that's a whole different one.
I know this is completely off the radar here, but I just
noticed. You sank my battleship. No, that's not it.
That's not it either. Molly Fenton in the chat, I just wanted to mention this, says busy cleaning because I'm reuniting with my older sister tomorrow. That sounds awesome.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. I don't know anything about that story except congratulations. It must be good. That's very cool. Anyway, video shows. Oh, here it is. They managed to snatch the blood samples of 4 patients who have tested positive for the coronavirus or COVID-19 before fleeing. Video footage shared on Twitter shows a monkey sitting in a tree with what appears to be one of the stolen kits. The animal can be seen dropping something which looks to be a white disposable glove to the ground before chewing on another. Yeah, they're definitely monkeys. Let's see. It's not known whether the monkeys have spilled the blood samples. However, people living near the campus fear the virus could spread to nearby residential areas because of these damned monkeys. Top official of the college said...
These damn dirty apes.
These damn dirty apes. That's right. These damn dirty primates.
These damn dirty primates. Yes, exactly. I'm trying to look at the video to see what kind of...
Yeah, I can't... I was going to do the same. I can't tell. Let's see. Let's pull that up here.
It's a colobus.
Oh,
colobus has the weird-looking nose, right?
Oh, yeah, and they look pissed all the time. You notice that?
Yeah, they're white. They're black and white with the... they look like they have a toupee.
Oh, yeah, here they are. These are like the ones in Japan where they're up on the rails and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there he is in the tree. Let's take a look at that.
He's eating a vial of Corona. Macaques? Maybe they are macaques.
Could be a macaque.
We just wanted to say macaque.
I mean, I've been waiting all morning. Finally found an excuse.
Actually, that does look like a macaque.
Okay, well, it looks like macaque It looks like macaque? Okay.
Macaque stole my Corona!
It looks like... What? Who got it? It looks like macaque! Anyway... the monkeys, they do say they don't think anything would spread. You'd have to come in contact with it. It's not airborne, so.
By the way, a group of macaques is called a sausage fest.
So podcasting then. Podcasting.
It's called a podcast.
It's called a podcast. A group of macaques.
Excellent. Well done.
All right. What time do we have? We got 5 minutes. Let's do this one. Dallas Mall was evacuated after a man slamming his skateboard against something was mistaken for an active shooter. This happened in Dallas. Now, it's unfortunate that, we get enough active shootings that this isn't all that surprising.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
You hear something like that and you go running, but I've got video here of this. It's pretty scary.
It's like, he actually... All right, well, we'll talk about this, but it wasn't like accidental, like, oh, no, I'm sorry, I was just slamming my skateboard against the floor because Claire's was out of purple studs. I mean, he was making hand gestures, mimicking a shooting, so he was trying to
really specific about Claire's and purple studs. I'm a little concerned about your last mall trip. Wow. So chaos broke out of this mall. Reports of an active shooter turned out to be a false alarm. Terrified shoppers could be seen sprinting, as you just saw in the video. Police officers closed in on the food court where the gunshots were reportedly coming from. Fortunately, there was no shooter. Says a, quote, mentally disturbed man had banged a skateboard on the floor and made hand gestures mimicking shooting. So he was acting like he was shooting, which is a real stinker.
There's a lot of people who are shooting video of them running out of the mall, by the way.
Yeah. Well, everyone had a phone.
If you ever needed proof that if poop went down, we'd start acting like the tribes in The Walking Dead. You just basically have to watch video of people pushing each other out of the way to get out of a mall when they think there's an active shooter.
Basically, we got all the.
There's a poor guy who's like on a who's got a walker, and people are like running by him and not like, hey, can I help you get out a little easier, sir? And yeah.
And we're left with just a lot of good B-roll if you need it for your zombie movie. So
that's right, exactly.
Good luck, everyone. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, my sister will be here. We have an amazing follow-up. At least I think so.
Cool.
We'll talk about that before we get to the meat of her visit. And what else? Other stuff. So stick around. All right, Brian, we should play a song.
We should totally play a song, and I'm really... I'm always saying I'm really excited to play something for you, and I usually am. It's not a lie. I'm almost always excited to play what I'm going to be playing for you.
Sure.
And I definitely tell you when I'm not excited about it. But I'm excited to play this one for you. Melissa from Auteur. What's that?
I said Etheridge, but I don't know why I said Etheridge. Continue on.
She's a VR person, reached out to me with this one. This is great stuff. This is a Toronto band called Phantom Atlantic. They've got a brand new EP that's coming out called Your View of a Former Me. And if you like if Foo Fighters and Radiohead had a baby, this is what it would sound like. These guys are awesome. This is the first song they've released from Your View of a Former Me. Here is Man Like You.
I prefer a real Mexican restaurant and not Taco Bell, because Taco Bell does not have the real authentic Mexican food like a actual Mexican restaurant does.
You just a noob.
Up, down, up, down. This is the morning stream.
All right, we're back, everybody. We're back.
One more time, that band is Phantom Atlantic, a song called Man Like You from their upcoming EP, Your View of a Former Me.
Nice. Another fine selection from the music catalog of Brian Ibbett.
Darn right.
All right, we're going to get Wendy in here, and we're going to have some good fun. Here we go. I mean, I don't know how fun it'll be. It'll be informative.
It'll be fun.
It'll be informative.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, hi. Hello, Wendy. Hey, without this, where is it? I can't go forward without this.
Everyone knows it's Wendy.
Hey, look who it is. It's Wendy, my sister, with an I. She's also a licensed therapist, a very serious person. And
I've seen her. She's got two of them right there in the middle of her face.
Totally does. 2 eyes, 3 eyes. So 1 on her name, 2 on her face.
Very serious.
Yep. It's good to have you back with us. How was your week? You doing all right?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe.
Okay. All right.
That sounds.
Like, do you want the real answer? Do you want the?
I don't know if you've probably been busy. You've probably had a lot going on. One would assume. You got.
Oh my gosh! It's the end of the craziest school year in the history of school years, and everyone's back to doing all the things, but all masked and spread out. So it's like twice as hard. But there's. Yep. I mean, it's. I forgot how hard May is.
Yeah, May is hard.
Yeah. But we're getting to the end. Allie graduates on next Tuesday, and
that's crazy. That's crazy. I know. How is that even? I don't even know how that's a thing. How is it possible your daughter's old enough to graduate? That's nuts.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's a thing. And then, we're I don't know. Don't ask me anymore.
All right, don't ask me. We went to Dad's grave the other day, and went on Sunday to beat the rush Monday. Mom went Monday, I guess, with Misha. But here's the funny thing. So Van has these dinosaurs he loves, little plastic dinosaurs. Loves them. Huge, just obsessed with dinosaurs right now. And we get there, and he decides he wants to just set these 2 little dinosaurs, a Brachiosaurus and a, I don't know what, raptor or something, on Dad's grave, right where you'd normally put the flower arrangement.
Yeah.
He put them there just sort of facing outward and then left them there and acted like he's just going to leave them there. So we're like, oh, that's kind of cute. He's, his great-grandpops, who never got to meet. He'll leave him a little thing. And so we left these there. Next day, Mom and Misha go, and texted everybody, say, oh yeah, it was great, we did this and that. And I said, are there two little dinosaurs there? Misha's like, yeah, what's that about? So those are Vans. And so she goes, oh no, did he want them back? Like we forgot him or whatever. And I said, no, they're like a little donation or whatever. But it was just like a nice little, I don't know. He doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah. He's 2, but it was just a nice thing to do. So anyway, it was nice. Awesome. We don't go there very often because Dad didn't really want us to, but we did this time. Anyway, hey,
maybe he changed his mind. Nobody ever asks.
No one ever asks. Assume. Yeah. When I'm dead, I don't care. You don't have to come visit my grave. I don't care. Really doesn't bother me. And when I say you, I mean everyone, not just Wendy.
Yeah, we're gonna have nerdtaculars around the tree where your ashes are.
That's a great idea. Let's do that. I'm in.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And that tree be in New Zealand because that's where I'd like to
go. So check this out. This is pretty cool. Before we get started today, I got a little follow up from last week, and I'll start it by. Well, I'm going to play the file first. Okay, so some audio connected with this, and it's about 1.5 minutes long. So I just need, it's just worth listening to. So just know there's a follow up from last week. Here's the audio.
BBC Radio Cambridgeshire. Call us on 08000 85 95 96.
Or text us on 81333, starting your message with the word CAM.
Welcome to Chris South's Great Outdoors with me, Richard Spanners Ready, filling in for Chris. It's the show all about Cambridge's fields, farms, wildlife, conservation and gardens. I'm sitting in for Chris South, who's working from home, and I guess I am still your in-studio substitute presenter until that changes or they find someone better. Because Chris can't be in studio to ride this log flume. How's your week been, everybody? Have you been forgiving yourself? That's what I've been working on this week. Do you ever torture yourself about small, embarrassing things? Do they leap out and haunt your mind? That happens to me, and I've been listening to an American podcast with a therapist called Wendy Dunford, where they discussed these things that sometimes you get that nagging voice deep inside your gut that just reminds you of all the embarrassing and stupid things you've done. And we all know that moment where you're having a perfectly fine day, you're happy, maybe even feeling proud of yourself, and the voice says, yeah, but remember that time you said that stupid thing and everybody heard? You're stupid and annoying. You should never leave the house or go on radio, Spanners. But that voice, for a lot of people, is just a constant reminder of every time you felt embarrassed or let yourself down. And it's like this constant lowlights reel playing in your head. And it can give you a really negative view of yourself. I think that's why it's a problem. Because there doesn't seem to be the opposite voice. The voice that randomly reminds you of the things that were good. That says, hey, Spanners, remember that time you were an absolute delight?
All right, that's basically it. There's a lot more to it, but
in the world,
isn't that great?
That's awesome. Yeah,
it was, that was our emailer from last week talking about the.
If he had told me it was British, I would have done it very differently.
I see.
I want to thank him for that. So I'm going to have to text him at 35, 65, 95, 85, 75, 35.
That
25.
goes on forever. That number, it never ends.
Pound sign.
I want him to say my name and just let me record it.
Right.
On all my
Dunford.
Wendy Dunford.
A woman named Wendy Dunford.
Well, anyway,
and
I just thought that
called
was
an American. That's been a while.
Yeah, for sure. But I thought that was awesome. Really, it was just an awesome, awesome follow up. And he also sent this. So I want to read this real quick. He says, normally I just scrunch that little part of me down into a tight ball and fight it while I'm talking on the air. But recently I've been using Wendy's method, and it's really helping me. I know exactly where my body, in my body, that voice is. It's right at the top of my skull, and I've given it a name. I thank Derek and assure him that I'm on top of the issues that he's identifying and helping me learn, and I will learn and improve. I'm not sure that sounds entirely sane, but it is having its effect.
Yes.
So there you go.
I love it, Derek.
I love his name, Derek, yeah.
Isn't that great, though?
Jelly beans out of a martini glass.
Yeah. So it was a really awesome thing to get. I'm really glad he did that. So
listen, from now on, I only accept feedback like that. I need a recording of a podcast, and you got to name your part, Derek.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
And he's obviously, he's a pro. He sounded great. Like, it's an actual BBC product. So very well done, and thanks for the follow up, because that means a lot. We really appreciate it. All right. Let's get to this week's topic here. This is from Anonymous. Okay, that's the name we're going to give them. And it goes like this. My mom has been going through a terrible time since my father passed away in 2020 from cancer. She has been fighting with deep depression and other issues since. Some days are better than others, and I have done everything I know to help her, but I am at a loss how to proceed when the days get really rough and settle in. I've suggested previously to her to get recommendations from our doctor for a counselor or therapist that would be a neutral party to help her more than I am capable of doing myself. She had opportunities to talk to one or so since the time has happened, I'm not sure what that means, but ultimately shied away from it. That brings us to the current state of things. She heard about Wendy's Real Steps and she signed up and has been in the program for a while, but she just told me that she has dropped out and was afraid to come back before the end of the session, citing not feeling that she can really open up. She was also worried that people were tired of hearing about her sadness regarding Dad. Yet she spoke about a lot of positive things she was taken away from the program Yet she spoke of a lot of positive things she has taken away from the program previously. I just worried that she had become discouraged. I don't know how to help her while I'm coping with my own depression and grief regarding my dad's loss, medical issues, and work stress. I need to be the strong one for her and gladly do so for her. She needs it the most, rather. And I feel like I'm failing her by not being able to help more than I have. My question, I guess, is this. Is there anything I should be doing more? Love, encouragement, support, constant check-ins, spending as much time as I can, despite having to be super careful during the pandemic, listening, being there when she needs me. I've done my best. Mom doesn't deserve the pain she's feeling. And I think she's just being way too hard on herself considering the trauma of so much that's happened in the last year. To suddenly lose someone you love for decades, like she has, while I hurt deeply to lose a parent, I can't imagine the pain that she's in. I can get more into detail if Wendy has additional questions. Let me know. Thanks for listening, and any guidance is appreciated. Anonymously yours. Stay safe. So we haven't really addressed directly. This isn't a COVID-related death, but somebody losing somebody during this time, whether from the stupid disease or from something else, is a big deal, man. It just feels like this is one of the worst times to have or experience that kind of loss. And then you got people around the person who's experienced the most loss who are just out of ideas. They don't know what else to do to help or to whatever. We've probably all felt this a little bit in some way. We here felt that way about my sister-in-law's cancer, although great news on that front. She appears to be cancer-free after
very good.
12 rounds of chemo, surgery twice, whole bunch of stuff. I mean, she had stage 4 colon cancer when this started, and now she appears to be free of it. So wow. That's awesome. Medical science, well done. And if she'd listened to her mother, she'd probably be eating leaves and not living. Anyway, that's a little jab at my mother-in-law. Anyway, so the point is,
make sure you get that in.
So that was, not the same kind of grief. We didn't lose her, but it was this struggle of what can we do? What else can we do? What are we supposed to do? So what do you want to do with Anonymous here?
Yeah, I think, first of all, to get in the mood for this today, I listened to the most recent episode of This American Life. Was about grief. I didn't plan it; it just happened. But it's a great listen because there's just so many ways we experience grief, and everyone's so different. And they had a couple different stories, but it started with Rob Delaney, the comedian who did Catastrophe, that guy. Anyway, he lost his 3-year-old son to cancer, and he's so blunt and open how he talks about it, and it's really pretty powerful. And he gets to this point that I think is really highlights what happens sometimes with grief is that, in his case, to have a child die or, the moments after with the child's body when the child has passed and what that's like, you can only talk to a few people about that in the world.
Yeah.
And to find these parents who had been there before him, and he said, I saw them eating grapes and sitting down and having a drink, that I can do that one day, this hope of progress, right? Just how devastating this whole thing was. Anyway, it's a really powerful episode.
It's called, by the way, it's called Good Grief, and it's
Good Grief. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
And that the very last one is about George Floyd and here in Minneapolis, and just a woman's how she's sort of taking care of people and their grief at the site, the memorial. Anyway, it's really good. So check that out. So anyway, it got me thinking about that idea, and you can lose the same person, but the same relationship isn't lost. So here's this person whose father dies. She loses a father. Is it a she? Sorry, I just said that.
I don't know. Actually, I guess I don't know.
They lost their father, and the mother lost a spouse, right? So same person has passed away, but two very different relationships, two different histories, two different roles, two different needs, all of the things. And so as much as we can, bond over losing the same person, sometimes it makes it even more difficult because the role that person played is so different. But we have a thing happening here, which is the caller or the emailer is not maybe giving enough attention to their own grief, and overly focused on helping mother grieve. And I think we maybe need to start with the definition of what grieving actually is. Right.
That's a good idea, because having lost our own father during a time where, I've never dealt with it right. I still don't know exactly if I've grieved for Dad or not. I really don't know. Whatever the proper healthy thing to do is, pretty sure I haven't done that entirely. Right. So let's talk about that.
And a lot just comes naturally, right? So if we kind of go historical here, back in the day, your parlor was where the dead would rest, and everyone would come and see them, and you would have, which I think is the origin of open casket things, which I don't love. P.S. Anyway, but this idea of it's in your home, everyone comes and pays their respect. So you have the historical, at least in this country, of mourning, and then other cultures have their various rituals and things they do when it comes to mourning, right? And you think of how that has gotten sort of cleaned up over time. They promoted living rooms to take the place of those parlors. That was a real advertising. That's why we still call them living rooms, is because no longer do the dead rest there. Only the living come and watch TV. And so, there's a history of us being really separate, or being really connected to death, seeing it much more frequently. And some of that would elicit the grieving that maybe would happen naturally because it just comes, right? But we have cleaned it up so much, and sort of we pay people to take care of all the things that we can't. And, maybe we still cry and grieve and dress in black and do the things that we do, but no one says what to do after that. And if you look at what the culture says, is oh, you get a week off work. And then after that, you're back to normal, be back to being productive or whatever. So what is the model? The model is do it quick, do it privately, don't overdo it. And then just hope that goes well. And so that most of us take away from our backgrounds, our cultural upbringings is there's an appropriate level of sad, and it should only last so long, and et cetera. And then we are all individuals who maybe can access that grief pretty easily and move through it, and then others that not so much. So it's tricky. And I don't know, have you guys ever been to a class on grieving?
No.
Probably not.
Nope.
No.
Do I think it should be along with financial planning for teenagers? Yes, I think there should be a grief class,
mandatory,
financial, and actual sex ed. Those things should all be in schools. So anyway, you've got just nobody's really good at this, and if they are, they probably have modeled that to people and are helpful and can talk you through it. But it's because it's a different relationship for each person, and it is not shown to us, so we don't know what to do. So what most of us do, because to survive, right, is kind of shove it down and go on with things, and then suddenly see duct tape holding something together. Scott, you'll recognize this, and then you'll burst into tears because someone else is holding something together with duct tape, like my dad always did. So you'll have these breakthrough moments where it will just sort of surface. To most of us, that's just what we do, and it can be.
It happened to me the other day, because when I had to pull the stinger out of Carter's foot. She got stung by a bee.
Oh.
And she's just turned 24. It's not like she's a kid. But I had this flashback of Dad pulling a sliver out of Taylor's foot when she was like 3.
Oh.
And it was like vivid and weird. And like, that's all I could think about while I'm trying to get this pulsating freaking noxious thing out of her foot. And it was just a weird moment. I didn't even tell them about it. But it was like, oh my gosh, it's like Dad taking that sliver out of Taylor's foot. And Taylor wouldn't look at him for like 2 weeks because she thought he was like the pain bringer.
Right.
Because that's what happens.
I can recall many slivers being taken out of my feet by Dad.
He was good.
I often thought he was a doctor. I did when I was younger. Like he was secretly a doctor, which he definitely wasn't. Yeah. But he was very good. He could have been. Anyway, so yeah, that idea of like it will show up. And I think just like the episode last week of like, this guy brought up these painful things that pop in his head and memories. This is how our systems are built. They're parts of us that will remind us. So it will jump out in the strangest of places. Sometimes it's really obvious, like, oh, there's a sliver situation. This feels familiar. And, so you can kind of tie it together. Other times, not so much. But it's as if the system has like it's a self-regulating button or something that it just is like, hey, there's more in here. There is something to process. I need a little attention. And the more we suppress that, the more that doesn't have a chance to process through in sort of a normal way, the more we create sort of a toxic situation. It leaks out in other places. So sometimes that can come out as anger or isolation. Depression is an example. There's bereavement and there's depression. Bereavement is the form of depression that every one of us should have. It's natural, it's important, it's the slowing down, it's the sign that you have lost and there's grief to be had, right? Depression is a very similar chemical response, but it's ongoing and sometimes is not an obvious loss connected to it, but often depression is related to loss.
Right.
So there's this natural thing. Well, what happens is if we don't ever deal or we don't ever grieve or we don't know what to do, and I can get into what to do in a second here, but we don't know what to do, we'll just survive. And in that survival state, sometimes some of the symptoms that you're not grieving properly show up, like depression when you have never had depression before, or increased anxiety when you've never had that before. So there's things that will show up that say, hey, this system isn't getting what it's needing. So it sounds like this emailer is watching her mother not progress through grief and is just really worried, right? Is seeing just that she's in so much pain and that all of those things. And yes, the normalization that her spouse dies and then the whole world has a pandemic. I mean, you cannot imagine how difficult, right, that would be. And she hasn't lost her husband previously to know that it's easier not in a pandemic, right? You just don't, it's hard to calculate the effects of all these different factors that have played a role. And just maybe in getting help or getting outside or other things that might naturally help that grieving process happen. So I just want to say a couple quick things about complicated grief and like sort of extended bereavement, right? Like everyone's different. Everyone has different timing. An interesting rule of thumb, I don't know if it's not for everyone exactly, but about a year is about the amount of time having every holiday pass, having lots of moments and memories, like say they die in July and then Christmas comes, you have a Christmas without that person that now you didn't anticipate, maybe you did, but like you got to get through the first of everything for that first year. And then after that, to sort of see how things are. People who are uncomfortable with others' pain or sorrow or don't know what to do want us to get over it quicker. Mm-hmm. So they may get more concerned before it's time to get concerned. Mm. So really having a professional kind of help you assess that if you're really feeling stuck or not sure you're doing it right, I think is your best bet. But also just know it does take time. Now, if you are not doing anything proactive to honor that person or to grieve or whatever you need to do, then, maybe we can see why you're stuck. Whereas most people, there is a natural flow to this. What we're really bad at grieving is grieving all the little things. We tend to actually be better about grieving death overall because it doesn't allow for much vacillation. You sort of come to accept it a little sooner.
Sure.
That doesn't mean there aren't plenty of people who years and years and years after someone has died have still struggling to accept it. So we're kind of all over the map. I hope that covers everybody. But so let's go through the active process of grieving. So I'd love to hear from both of you, and you can share this about a positive thing where you had to grieve it. Like maybe you moved to a new place and you had to grieve the loss of the old place or friends, or you move from college onto another place. Like there's lots of versions of grief that happen in periods of life. So you don't have to pick a death if you don't want to, but give me a sense of what you guys think grieving, a healthy grieving process looks like.
Well, I'll jump in, but
please do.
I am going to go with death.
Okay.
I will stay on the board, Bob, and go with death for 100. Watching my stepdad and his health deteriorate over the course of a couple months or a few months, where it was the alcohol and the cigarettes and basically the cancer that came from the cigarettes kind of ravaged his body, to the point where at the very end, for like the last couple of weeks when he wasn't able to talk or communicate, I kind of began grieving his loss then as opposed to after he passed, even though we knew it was coming. It was like all right, I'm preparing myself. I know he's, going to be gone. And it still gave me an opportunity to say goodbye to him over those couple weeks. So when he did eventually pass, it almost felt like more of it definitely felt like a relief knowing that he wasn't suffering anymore, and knowing that I did get the opportunity to say goodbye to him and kind of get good closure on that. And then we kind of, remembered him with a memorial event, and all his friends came. And instead of it being like a funeral, it was more of like a remembrance of who he was, and some great photos and memories and things like that.
Yeah.
So that felt like the healthy way of doing it. Yes, awake. I guess it's just called awake.
Yeah, they call those awake. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but that does sound healthy. I have an example that's not healthy though, because I don't think I know how to do it right. I think I'm bad at this. I think it's like a thing I'm not good at. But I remember. So when Dad died, I remember going through all the motions, like rush to the hospital, deal with all of the immediate aftermath, be there for Mom, try to figure out what we're gonna do next. All right, we gotta talk funeral. We gotta, you have to do all that, and then the funeral came, and then we had to do the funeral, and we had to do whatever that meant, and then be there, and then move on to the next thing, and then okay, what's after that? That sort of thing. I remember going through all of that and thinking, well, at least I'm going through all this. But I don't think I'm really, like, I really never took a minute to go, what does this mean? Like, what does this loss mean? So instead, over the last 20 years, I just let it creep into other stuff. Like, just think about Dad randomly. Or, there was this weird experience where Nick was like 2.5 years old, and he was describing his grandpa and how he was like sitting on the edge of his bed and weird stuff like that. And I remember thinking, oh, that's weird. And like, I just remember all these things just piling up over time. And to this day, I'm not sure I've ever really sort of like dealt with it, because it seemed way too soon. The shock, because he was only 63, 64. It happened suddenly. It was a massive heart attack, kind of out of nowhere. I have certain things connected to it. Like I always remember that a week before he passed, he saw Gone in 60 Seconds with Mom. And the night before he passed, he saw Chicken Run. These are weird things that I associate with all around it, but it was that suddenness, and I still have this visual of rushing up to the house. And by the time I got there, Mom was in a couch being consoled by some neighbors and some people. And then I see his gurney just whipping past me, all covered in stuff with the thing on his face and everything. And I remember that so vividly. It's like real to me now. Like just I can feel everything about that feeling. And I don't think I've ever really faced it. I think the whole time I was just like, okay, moving. And I think that later in my life, in the early aughts, it sort of manifested itself in the form of some anxiety I'd never experienced before, didn't know where it was coming from, a sort of, I don't know, a bad relationship with mortality in general. I have to say that over time that's gotten easier for me, and I give less poops these days about a lot of things, but there was a time there where, anything that felt like even remotely like chest pain or a little bit of arm pain or a feeling of dizziness, you just immediately go, oh, it's that thing Dad did, and I'm trying to ignore it, and so let's just ignore it and get past it, and that sort of stuff, right? So I don't think I ever did, is what I'm saying. I don't think I have a good answer to your question. I don't think I've ever properly grieved. I do remember witnessing what I thought was a healthy grieving, and that was at his funeral. My then 6-year-old daughter, Taylor, who is now 27 and has a kid of her own, she was still pretty young, but at six, you kind of know. You kind of know when you don't know at the same time. But her siblings are too young to really know what's going on, 3 and 2 months old for Nick. But she just started kind of wailing and crying at the funeral. And I remember thinking at the time, that's probably what I should be doing. I should probably be just completely losing it and let it out, right? And I never did. So anyway, that's my awesome answer. That's my unhealthy response to death and mourning.
Well, and I don't want to take away from your story that you're haven't healthfully grieved, but I'm going to give you some definitions that might shift your perspective a little bit. But I do agree. If we could all wail like Taylor at a funeral, we would all feel better. It's just that kids can do things adults can't, right?
Right. They can just let out those emotions, just just dump them out. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is why when I watch cultures where there's the following of the casket and the wailing and throwing yourself on the body, I'm always jealous. Like,
right? Yeah.
Oh, they're so lucky.
Yeah, because out of context, you see that and go, oh, that's weird, and like it's too much. Like, what are you doing? But in that space, like if you are those people, I imagine there's real catharsis in that. Even if it is mostly culturally, not forced on people, but you know what I mean. Like it's
it's at least an option, right? Whereas it's not such an option. So okay, and this I hope is helpful for the emailer, because as she's describing her mother, his mother, or its mother, that like just of course devastated, sad, struggling to feel good again, all of those things. There's nothing in there that has me really worried, other than it's just really hard, and it's been a little over a year. I feel like pandemic year doesn't count as like no years as well as 20 years. I don't know how, but it does. Anyway, and so I don't hear anything that's majorly concerning, and so I want to give some definitions I think that might be helpful. And Scott, similarly, like I think you probably have processed slower. And it's you're saying it's all wrong, and I don't know. So anyway, let me just read some things and you guys get to decide. Okay. So I just want to give a definition of healthy grief. It's often referred to as normal or functional grief.
Yeah.
And there's a reason, because it has a function, and the function is to allow survivors to identify, acknowledge, feel, and integrate what they love but are now without. So that's the purpose of the funeral. That's the purpose of a eulogy, of the writing down your feelings or talking to others, sharing the stories, right? Is you're trying to integrate, acknowledge, identify, and feel all this stuff about this person that you love that is no longer there.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
That does not happen quickly and easily. And there are some reactions to it. So I'm going to read what are the quote unquote normal reactions associated with grief. So some of these are going to sound familiar and hopefully help people feel like they're still within the realm of okay. And then we can talk about what to do if you're feeling like you're not in that okay space. So it's really normal behaviorally to detach from family and friends. to have a change in your interest in your activities, to decrease your socializing, to have the loss of joy or anhedonia, to withdraw and be less productive, be unable to sit still, to see or hear the voice of the deceased, struggle to think clearly, to treasure objects of the deceased, to find yourself sighing a lot, anger, general irritability, loneliness, lack of concentration. So this is more the brain stuff, lack of concentration. It's difficult to make decisions, lack of focus, short-term memory problems, disbelief, excessive worry, feeling overwhelmed. All very, very normal. Numbness, apathy, fear, mood swings. You notice as I'm reading this, you're thinking, if someone you love is grieving and they're acting this way, it's really hard for you to watch, right?
Right.
But we're still within the very normal range of an emotional, psychological reaction to grief. Okay. Also, disbelief, outbursts that are like grief bursts, guilt, resentment, anger, difficulty falling asleep, making up really early in the morning, decrease in appetite, fatigue and lack of energy, moving slower, dry mouth, irregular heartbeats and palpitations, restlessness. Okay. And then we get to like, you know, there's the spiritual part, maybe lack of meaning or questioning faith or blaming God or wanting to die. All very, very normal. And so here's what you need to do. And this is the paradox of grief. This is why grief is so hard for us. And I think why you don't get taught it is because no one knows what they're doing. And even people who know how this is supposed to work themselves struggle to know what to do. So when Dad died, the first person I wanted to talk to was none of you. I wanted to talk to Michelle Dare. Do you remember her?
Oh, yeah.
Scott?
Yeah. I saw
her dad died when she was 17. I was 23, 24. My dad died. And I had another friend whose mom died when she was 12. And those two are the only two people I wanted to talk to.
I saw her, by the way, I saw Crosby, Stills, and Nash with her the week before her dad died.
Oh, wow.
That's a weird thing to remember.
Full circle.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so when I talked to her, she had, years had passed and she, she's older than me anyway. So it'd been a while. And I just went at her with like, I've had all the stages of grief already. She's like, just smiled and sure. And just was comforting and nice. And she didn't fix anything. She just let me feel whatever I was feeling. And there's the power. And someone who's been there and knows how to grieve is they don't need you to do it differently. So they're comfortable. That is what's amazing. Right. Yeah. And that's why it's a gift. And that's why you seek those people out. That's why Robert Delaney was saying, I just needed to be around parents who got this. I didn't have to explain everything. Right. Or you could just see that they survived it. Right. So there's a lot of that mourning with others that is just so crucial for us to healthfully mourn. Okay. So we have a bunch of things that have to happen during grief. We have to acknowledge the reality of the death that comes at some point. It doesn't always come quickly. You have to feel the pain. Here's that paradox again. In order to heal, you have to feel it. There's change in relationships, from the person to a memory, from physical to a memory. That has to change. And then a lot of it is adjusting your self-identity. So if you think of, you lose a partner, and so much of your identity has been wrapped up in your partnership. So that's an extra challenge there.
Sure.
Okay. So when it's not grieving, okay, let me give you this quote because I think it's helpful. This is by Doug Manning. I don't even know who that is, but I like the quote. Grieving is as natural as crying when you are hurt, sleeping when you are tired, eating when you are hungry, or sneezing when your nose itches. It's nature's way of healing a broken heart. Don't let anyone take your grief away from you. You deserve it and you must have it. If you have major surgery, no one would pressure you to run a marathon the next week. Grief is a major wound. It does not heal overnight. And I think we're running into this a little bit with the emailer wanting mom to be okay so badly that maybe there needs to be some more space for her to grieve. And maybe she needs help to do that. And that's your concern, and that's great, but it doesn't fix the thing. She'll have to on her own And you can encourage her, but on her own, if she feels like maybe talking to someone would help her do that. But your other choice is to be present and let this take the time that it takes. So let me just quickly talk about unhealthy grief so you can also see where the problems might be.
Okay.
And maybe she didn't write about them or I missed them. So unhealthy grief prolongs suffering and it interrupts normal activities. So this is, Scott, how we know you had some healthy grief. You would not have kept a job, raised a family, lived your life for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean maybe there was more you could have done, but your life is still being lived to pretty much its fullest. And that's one sign that unhealthy grief has happened, is where you're sort of stuck, frozen. Words people will use are unhealthy, unresolved, complicated, pathological, all those scary words.
Yeah.
And the main reasons people fail to grieve is it just the inability to tolerate the pain of grief, because it's incredibly painful. And so to avoid that, the other reason might be the person has an excessive need to maintain interaction with the person who's died. That can really be challenging and obviously really common with partners. And then guilt is another reason people fail to grieve. Maybe that the relationship with the person who has died brings up guilt, and so they don't know how to handle that thing, right? That's when you definitely need somebody to help you with that.
Sure.
All right. So we've got all sorts of reasons you can imagine for failing to grieve. One just quick one is maybe there's a belief that grieving equals weakness, right?
Yeah.
Or that if you start crying, it'll never stop. That's a really common one. Or that letting go of the pain equals letting go of the loved one. So there may be all these complicated reasons that this mother is not able to move forward in any way, or it may be that this is just her timing. I don't know. Okay. So let me just share a couple of, delayed grief. Let me mention this really quick. So delayed grief is sort of, you push aside the feelings during the period of where mourning would have happened, and then they erupt later, and can be in all sorts of forms, right? So maybe, Scott, some of your anxiety stuff showed up that way. That would make sense.
Yeah. You want to see a big baby man cry at a part that maybe you shouldn't, is that scene in Onward where the older brother's talking to the dad ghost. Gosh dang it, dude. That killed me. That killed me.
All that.
That was something.
Yeah, that was a mess. That
And the
van,
kid looks like my
van also
son,
got
so
me.
it was even worse.
Yeah, it's even worse.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, let me just quickly go through the rest of it. But just denial and avoidance are other reasons people don't keep going in this process of grief. And it's just easier in the short term to avoid, but it is definitely not in the long term and can be really challenging.
Yeah.
So let's see. Okay. And then we've got this sort of how it shows up when you are not doing it.
Yeah.
Actually, so stuckness, there would be all of these sort of, and this is what's tricky, is you're going to have some of those same symptoms that are in healthy grieving, right? But the unhealthy part would be that you shove them away, refuse to have them, drink until constantly, so you never feel anything. Like, there's all the ways to stop those natural things from happening could be examples. And so signs of healing and, sort of grief doing its work and healing on the other end. It's important to know that, like, you're never the same, right? You don't go back to the previous you. And that is really difficult.
Yeah, it's like
sometimes
burn victims can heal, but they're going to be
never
different.
The same.
No, you're never the same.
Yeah, exactly. But some signs that you are healing are things like you are emotionally available to yourself, right? Yeah. You're not constantly hiding from yourself.
Right.
You are present and in the moment. You can be patient with yourself. You can somehow feel positivity again. You realize life is worth living. Give yourself permission to feel what you feel.
Yeah.
You allow moments of joy, those things. So those are some signs that healthy grieving is occurring. So I've mentioned this on the show before, but I often assign people an hour of grief work, and that is they take an hour once a week. They light a candle, they go in the woods, whatever they got to do to connect to this place where this pain resides, and they face it full on. They give it attention. So they can do that by writing a letter to the person. They can just write whatever comes to them. They can cry, they can paint. I mean, whatever you want to do in that hour that helps you express some of that pain is incredibly valuable. So it's my version of, instead of weeping and wailing and throwing yourself on the grave like you might have been able to do, in our puritanical society, you are going to find a way to give yourself an hour to do whatever wailing you need to do.
Yeah.
And for some, they're very blocked, and that's very hard to do. So starting with writing, starting with just sitting there quietly, allowing, listening to some music, something, but giving this part of you a window to express itself. And then the timer goes off and you pull yourself together and you go back to the whatever, and, society will go, yay, you're fine.
Right.
Just know society is wrong about how all this works. Right. And so don't be asking for, do you think I'm doing okay? There really is this sort of internal barometer as you feel better. So I would say this one thing to this emailer with her mom. Two things. One, do your own grief work. And the more you can do that, and mourn the loss of your father and not make it about your mother right now, and that may just be, you can do it 1 hour a week, and that's okay. The better you will be able to be present for her in whatever she does need. It's the whole mask on yourself first thing.
Right.
I know that's incredibly hard to do as you watch someone else suffer, but part of that is because your own suffering is not getting the attention that it needs.
Right.
So that's number one. And then number two, be present with your mom and express your love and concern and be in the moment with her, and try not to control her grieving. And that's maybe a harsh way to say that. But hold space.
You don't even know you're doing it. Yeah, I get that.
That's the thing I've been thinking about, is holding space. Like, what does that actually mean, to hold space for someone else's grief?
Yeah.
Is you don't make it about you.
Yeah. And
that's so hard to do if your grief is overflowing the canister. You've got to empty that out. You've got to deal with your own. And in order to hold space for anyone else's grief, because if you can't do that, then it's about yours. And so your mom, who loves you, is going to worry about your grief and not worry about her own. And so this is tricky, to be there for one another at the same time, making sure you're there for yourself and your process. Means you can then hold some space for her to grieve.
Right. It's probably a whole other conversation, but learning to deal with people who think they've got bigger problems than you, and understanding they're just in a different place than you is kind of hard too sometimes. Like if you just experienced a huge loss and somebody's like, I'm having the worst day of my life. What's wrong? Somebody keyed my car at the mall.
Yeah.
It's like, really, that's going to compare to, that's a hard thing to keep in mind as well. But
yeah. Well, and that's the reason, my desire, as I've thought about it since, to only talk to someone who's lost a parent, was that I would not have to deal with any of their garbage of they're trying to find that way to understand you. And it comes from a nice place in theory, but it just doesn't compete. You can't do it. You can't say, well, I lost this and have it resonate. You just need someone to hold space. If they haven't lost the same thing, but they can hold space for you to have lost what you have, I mean, that's a gift, and people can do that. Absolutely. It's not that everyone has to have lost someone to hold space. Right. But man, the ones who have already know they can hold space. They can do it. They've figured out to some extent how, if they've done their work and grieved. So I feel like, unresolved grief is probably one of the biggest problems we have in society. And if you notice that list I said of how it comes out sideways and how grief shows itself, if it's showing itself in anger, right?
Yeah.
This past year and a half have been really hard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's coming out sideways sometimes. And some of it is maybe nothing hard has happened for you. And so you just aren't getting that people are coming from a place of pain. And so anyway, I recommend listening to This American Life. It'll give you a good perspective on.
Sounds like a good episode.
Things.
Yeah.
It was
well
timed.
It's the most.
And actually, this leads to the thing I want to pimp.
Oh, pimp it! Promote it! Promote!
Stop saying pimp.
Yeah, no more
Need
pimp.
a better word, but that also is short and.
Maybe we just need to take pimp back.
Yeah, let's take pimp.
Can we own it back?
Can we take it back?
Do that.
Was it a thing before?
It was never ours to begin with, but let's take it.
Let's own it. I love it. Okay, is this, and I actually talk a little bit about this in this, but I'm in a podcast with Alex on the Dad Chronicles, and Scott, maybe you can.
I'll link it out to everybody. It's the Dad Chronicles, which you can get anywhere on any podcast player or directory or whatever. Just search for it. But Alex Albisu's show, where he, a lot of fatherhood talks to a lot of other dads, but occasionally has somebody like Wendy on. And apparently you guys had a rad.
Not a dad.
You are definitely not a dad, but you had a really.
I'm not a dad.
He was raving about your appearance. He couldn't. Stop talking.
Kind of nailed it. Usually I have brain fog, and I didn't that day, so I was on it. So you should listen. No, it was. I think it just came out on Monday, but it is a conversation about how to model to your kids, how with all the conflict between people and the infighting and the nastiness that has arisen in the last couple of years, just how to model good behavior, and it's. There's a surprise in there. It's not what you think. Anyway, it's really fun, and it's kind of ties to what we've talked a little bit about today, strangely. Anyway, so check that out. That's my thing to promote today.
Go check it out. The Dad Chronicles, available wherever you get your podcasts. All right. Excellent stuff, Wendy, as always. And realsteps.org, go check it out. Sign up, or at least sign up for the communication phase of things. And if you get accepted into the next phase, that'd be cool too. If you keep hearing us talking about it, wonder what the heck it's about, it's all right there on the page. Go look. realsteps.org. Wendy, have a great week. And what are we, 3 weeks from seeing you guys or something? 3.5?
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's
something
coming
like that.
soon.
Yeah, it'll be quick. And
excited.
Only a few dummies won't be vaccinated, so that'll be great.
Only a few.
Only a few. And
Scott, you should check out this podcast on the Dad Chronicle. It will help you.
Oh, good. I need
model conflict.
I need to deal with that somehow before all that happens in July. So we'll see how it goes. All right, Wendy, have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Bye now.
Bye.
All right. A long one, but a good one.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what they say about me. I mean, tall. I'm tall. I'm a tall guy.
Oh, yeah, tall, long, tall.
Yeah,
yes.
Should clarify a little bit. All right, check this out. We're going to play a quick mashup. Now, the reason I'm playing this today is because some people say, hey, what's the origin of that take no plums, leave no plums thing?
Oh, God. Okay, good.
So, Jamie, TMS
prepare
Mashups.
to still be confused after you hear this. I'm just going to warn you right now that...
But he reached way back down the throat of time and pulled this out. And I don't really have a timeline for when this was said, but it was early in the show.
It was, yeah.
So enjoy. You can tell because my voice is dumb and whiny.
Hey, Brian.
I sounded different in 2011. I can't help it. I don't know what was going on there. But anyway, here it is. It's TMS Origins, The Plum Riddle. Enjoy. All right, before I play it, I want to do a riddle to you. This is an old favorite, one I got when I was a kid, and I've used it every once in a while, and it never ceases to either stump people or make them feel smart. So here you go. Guy's walking down a path. In the middle of this path is a tree. It's an apple tree, okay? I'm sorry, plum tree. Back up. It doesn't matter that much, but it's a plum tree.
Okay.
So the guy walks past a plum tree. Now, he neither takes plums nor leaves plums and keeps going. How is that possible? He neither takes plums nor leaves plums.
He just walks by the tree then.
Well, no, because
what changes?
He neither takes plums nor leaves plums. So that implies he's got some plum. There's plum in his life after he leaves that tree.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So he doesn't leave any plums on the tree. There are no plums on the tree when he leaves it.
Or do I? So here you go again. He sees the plum tree, walks past.
There's a piece of this that you're not telling me.
No, it really is not. I'm telling you everything you need to know. He neither takes plums nor leaves plums.
Gotcha. I see what you're saying. Okay. Well, let's say that it's off season and there's no plums growing on the tree.
That wouldn't work. He neither takes them nor leaves them. them.
If there are no plums on the tree, he can't take them, nor can he leave them if there are no plums on the tree.
No, because he ends up with a plum. He's got a plum already.
Oh, he does. Okay, well, you didn't tell me that part.
Yeah. There are plums. Let me make this clear. There are plums on the tree. There are plums on the tree, and he neither takes plums nor leaves plums. How is that possible?
Because he's got a plum hanging out the bottom of his tiny gym shorts.
All right, that is our sign that we are now going to tell you the answer.
Please do.
The answer is there are only 2 plums on the tree, so only takes one. Takes one, leaves one. So it's a plural thing. He neither takes plums nor leaves plums. Saying. So he didn't take 2 because I would have left the tree without any, but he...
You didn't tell me until the very end that he ended up with a plum.
Well, no, I did the whole time because I said he neither takes plums nor leaves plums. That implies he takes something with him.
Okay.
So it's a good one.
It is a good one.
Yeah, it's not bad. There you go. So if you were sitting around going, what the hell is that story? That's the story. All right? And that's back when I sounded a little more like this.
Yeah, exactly.
What's going on there?
Here's one that's not even a riddle, but it was something that James from Same Sex Married said while we were out there for this last trip.
You're required by law to do it in his voice, right?
In his voice?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right, Brian. Okay. This is great. All right. Before was is.
Before was.
Before was is.
Before was is.
No, before was is.
Oh,
In other words,
is.
before now is the past, now is the present.
Oh.
Before was is.
Oh, weird. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's actually really cool.
It's an excuse to say was like 8 times in a row.
Yeah.
Have it make sense.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a fun one. I'm using that upstairs if I can get it right.
I guess 5 times you say was.
Yeah, that was really good.
Before was is.
Tally says English can be understood with a tough, thorough thought. A tough, thorough thought, though.
Yes. In other words, to show all the different GH sounds.
English. What are you going to do?
OUGH sounds, yeah.
Well, that leads us to this part of the show where we say goodbye. Yeah, that's right. But don't worry. We will be doing a TMS PM tomorrow, like literally, actually doing it.
We'll literally be doing it. We will literally.
We don't have the excuse of play dates or anything like that. It's an actual show. So, so be here tomorrow, 3:30 Mountain Time. If you're a patron, if you're not one, then sign up because it's only $1 and you can have that tomorrow. You don't have to wait. There's no approval period. It's not like you have to wait 2 weeks to get signed up. It's no government agency here. We let you right in. So head on over to patreon.com/TMS, sign up today. And if you're looking for anything else or that, you can find it all at frogpants.com/TMS. You don't need to worry about the 3 W's. You don't have to think about the HTTPS or any of that. Forward slashes, colons.
Slash.
None
is
of
there
it.
an S? Is it secure? Is there
None of it. It'll just
SSL
work.
certificate? I don't know. I don't care.
It'll be there because you just put it in. It's just we've made it easy for everyone. frogpants.com/TMS. That's it for the show. I don't know about you, but I can't leave without at least some German in my life, Brian.
Oh, well, I've got it for you.
Hooray.
Yeah. Trent from Washington State said, "This is one of the most entertaining covers I've heard in a while. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Love the show, though." And there you go. That's all you need.
Nice.
This is a band called Cheetos Magazine, with an apostrophe. Cheetos Magazine. It's a magazine that belongs to Cheeto.
Sure.
A single that they released last year. This is a cover of Rammstein's Du Hast, and it's the most fun cover you'll ever hear of Du Hast ever. Here you go. Here's Cheetos Magazine.
All right. That's going to do it. Thank you all for being here. We'll see you soon. This show is part of the Frog Pants Network.
Frog Pants Network.
Get more shows like this at frogpants.com. Oh, the role Brian almost had. Remember?
Oh, that's little Torrance.
Torrance
Jack
kid.
Torrance, huh?
Yeah. He was, took your job. He took your girl.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That wasn't very nice of him.
Oh, yeah. When I got to look this up and remember how it goes, but there's an actual grammatically correct sentence that you can say that is buffalo, 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 buffalo.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. English. What are you going to do? It's a weird language.
Yes.
It's a weird language. We live in a magical time with a weird language.